to first UC accountancy class. Dear students, you all know that accountancy is one of the main part of commerce studies. So, let us begin accountancy session with some basics of accountancy, and also will explain today syllabus content of first UC accountancy. So, once again, welcome to first UC accountancy class. So, let us begin the class with some basics of accountancy. We have discussed in first session of business studies that every business organization, they need to furnish many objectives called every business has multiple objectives. So which are the multiple objectives here need to be achieved by every organization? For example here, or the objectives we can say, meeting the legal constraint of law or court or government, satisfying the needs and wants of the customers, or meeting the requirements of the employees, or maintaining the social responsibilities, or improving the performance of managers as well as the workers, innovation, market standing, increasing the market share, or maximizing the assets like physical as well as the financial resources of the organizations, and increasing the production level of the company, increasing the various assets, increasing the brand loyalty, brand image. So these are the many objectives need to be achieved by every business organization, irrespective of any form of organization, because we know that there are many forms of business organization. Say for example, sole proprietorship or partnership business or joint stock company, cooperative society, or family business called joint Hindu undivided family business, or it can be multinational corporation, global enterprises. There are many forms of business organization. Every business organization need to perform various objectives, various goals, or various targets, right? Including all the objectives, the key objective or key motive of every business called earning of profit, right? So as a businessman or every business organization, they do or they perform various activities. It may be manufacturing the goods and services, or distributing the goods and services, or exchange of goods and services. These are the various activities here done by the or performed by the business. It may be industries or trading organizations. So behind of every activities, or they do many activities or every activities because to earn here in earning of profit, or maybe in order to earn maximum amount of profit only, every business organization they do or they perform various activities. So one question called here, how can they say or how can they judge here we got amount of profit or this amount of profit? So in order to say that, right, if we want to say we got or we earned this amount of profit, it has to be earned by the business, right, and it should be known to the businessman or those who is going to be calculate, right? In order to say this is the amount of profit we earned this year or in this particular year, we have to calculate that amount of profit, isn't it? Right? Once we calculated the amount of profit, then only we can say we earned profit during this particular period of time. Right? So for that reason, every business need to be calculated here amount of profit, isn't it? So that is why, like, they have an intention of earning of profit. They do all the activities only to get the amount of profit, only to maximize the amount of profit. And in order to say that this amount of profit we earned, right, so we need to calculate the amount of profit earned by the business during the particular period of time. So one more question is, how can we calculate the amount of profit? The first question was here, how can we say this is the amount of profit we earned, and we could say here after calculating the amount of profit, right? So we have to take specified period of time and considering activities like the amount of money received, the amount of money here paid. Maybe by comparing those, we could calculate the amount of profit. One more question what I asked here. How can we calculate the amount of profit? Right? It's very simple. By comparing the figures, numbers, and transactions of the business, we can analyze here. We can compare or we can calculate the amount of profit. And one more thing is here for whether the amount of profit is calculated every day or maybe for how many periods of time, considering how many period or considering here how many days we can be go for the calculation of profit. So normally everything excluding sole proprietorship, other forms of organization, they do calculate, they go for the calculation of profit after either half a year or maybe for a 1 year, right? If the organization consists many transactions, if they do here many activities, and maybe for half a year, after half a year, at the end of 6 months only, they go for the calculation of profit. If it is normal, medium or average transaction, if it is done in any organization and as per the law or as per the rule of act, after 12 months they are going to calculate the amount of profit. And for sole trading business, this organization which is not come under any law or act of the government, anytime after even day also, after 2 days also, after a week also, after 15 days or after month or after a year also, they can calculate the amount of profit. Okay, just leave the concept of sole proprietorship. I've taken the example of other forms of organization. Usually they need to calculate the amount of profit after 6 months or maybe after a year only. One more thing, a very important point here, we need to think is called how can we calculate the amount of profit after 6 months or after 12 months, right? So even first day of that year, what is the transaction we have done successfully done? By considering that from that transaction at the end of 12 months, for example, it is from January to December. On December 31st, what is the transaction going to be done? So, from January 1st transaction till December 31st transaction, by considering all those, and we know that numerous transactions will be done over a period of time. By considering all those things, we have to go for the calculation of profit. Is it possible to remember all those things and counting all those, remembering all those, storing all those things in our mind and calculating accurate profit? Is it possible? If I ask you a question, is it possible to calculate accurate profit by considering or by considering the first transaction in the month of January be done and the last transaction on December 31st? So we think here, because we all are human beings, and we think it is impossible, right? Because during that 12 months of period, n number of transactions will be done. If I take example of multinational corporations, right? And one more, that is different case. In case of banking sector, they do calculation of profit or with the loss of that sector even after 3 months also, because they furnish many activities, because it is a bank. There are many activities will be performed in the banking. For that reasons, in order to ignore that burden of calculation, even after 3 months also they go for the calculation. That is special condition or exceptional condition. But normally we go for the calculations either after 6 months if it is n number of transactions, or if it is average transaction, or maybe like casual transactions, medium transactions, then at the end of 12 months only. So remembering all those things and storing all in our mind, and at the end of the day calculating is always difficult for the people, or difficult for who is going to calculate the amount of profit. For that reasons, After the transactions, for example, if we done today one of the transaction, better to write the transactions in one sheet of paper, correct? Instead of making complexities while calculating the amount of profit, it is better to write the transaction. Transaction means an activity, right? If anything contains monetary values, if it is considered for the calculation of profit, then nothing but transaction, right? So it is better to write if any transaction done in any day, done on any day, it is better to write on the sheet of paper, correct? So after the transaction, if you write on sheet of paper, it is very easy to taken into account and considering for the calculation of profit, isn't it? So at the end of the year, on which day you are going to calculate the profit, actually that day you will be having many number of transactions in front of you, many figures will be there, numbers will be there, and what you exactly received on what you exactly paid. Maybe by comparing those, you could calculate, you can easily calculate the amount of profit. So, in order to calculate the amount of profit, so what you supposed to do, called, after the successful transaction, after performing the transaction, you have to write that in proper sheet of paper. It is nothing but in proper books of account. Correct. So coming to your accountancy class. Accountancy is same actually for the reason of, for the purpose of calculating the amount of profit, and also at the end of the year we must know financial position of the business also, right? Many people will invest money on the business activities, and everybody must know that here, including profit, financial position of the business, because they are the part and parcel of the business, and they have invested much amount of money on the business, and to take decisions for the next year, and that decisions is actually based on the performance of the business, performance of any business, right? So performance of the business will be judged by here seeing two things. One is profit earned by the company, and second one is financial position of the business, isn't it? So for that reasons, we at the end of the year, financial positions as well as the profit need to be calculated, and to calculate profit as well as to judge the financial positions, various things, the activities, the transaction which is done in the organization over a period of time, it has to be maintained, it has to be written, or it has to be maintained in proper sheet of paper. If you maintained, if you written all those things here, according to the rules and regulation of act or law, it is nothing but actually accountants or accounting, right? What is accountancy here? Accountancy is nothing but for the purpose of calculating the profit and judging the financial positions. What are the things we have done? Things in the sense activities, financial transactions. If it is recorded, recorded means writing, right? So maybe date wise, or the time wise, or maybe like on our according to our convenience, right? According to our convenience and comfortability, if we write those things in books of paper, it is called accounts, right? And normally business organization consists of many peoples, right? There are many shareholders. In case of multinational company, in case of partnership business, there are many partners. In case of cooperative society, there are many members, right? Excluding sole proprietorship, every business organization they consist more number of owners, more number of members, right? And what we recorded, it should be convenient, it should be easy to understand, and also it should be realistic for everybody, realistic for every users. For that reasons, maintaining some rules and regulations, maintaining some consistency while writing those transactions in the sheet of paper or books is nothing but accountancy, right? If you write something on a sheet of paper related to or about business, and considering the number, figures, etc. It is called common books, right? The same way, writing all those things in the books of accounts or maybe in the sheet of paper or in any books, in maybe any general book, just following the rules and regulations of the government or every business organization is under act or law, right? If you follow those rules and regulations while recording that, then it is called accountancy only. So for the purpose of calculating the amount of profit, what is the written record we maintain, what is the written document we maintain, that will be helpful for the calculation of either profit or maybe judging the financial position of the business. Then in general it is termed as accountants or accounting, right? I hope you understand what is the need of accountants in every business, as well as what is the or how that accounting work is connected to the business organization, only because of those two reasons. Okay, this is the basics of accountancy. And normally accountancy, that word is vast term, and that consists not only just recording and also some other things are included, right? If you write something and if it is not good, if it is not perfect, and it will not be taken for the calculation of profit, right? Some other things also included while writing, like before and after, front and back, so many, around of that writing activities, so many things we need to consider, so many things we take it into account, right? Considering all those things, preparing those sheet of paper, preparing those documents, recording something on the sheet of paper or books of account is nothing but accountancy work or accounting work. I hope you understand here, dear students. Accountancy or accounting is nothing but about business organization, what they have done during period of time for the purpose of calculating profit or judging the financial positions. If you maintain any documents, if you record it, anything on a sheet of paper, if it is considered at the end of the period, then it is called accounting only. So if you understand accounting, basics of accounting, let me go for the next part, means syllabus content of accountancy. So we'll go through here. Syllabus content of accountancy means what are the chapters you are going to study in first PUC accountancy. Your syllabus consists of two parts, means two textbooks. First part consists of 8 lessons and second part consists of 5 lessons. So totally there are 13 chapters in first PUC accountancy. So we will discuss here briefly which are the 13 chapters and which are the points covered in each chapters. Okay, so I'm going to explain here first part of accountancy, means first textbooks. There are two textbooks for accountancy. Part 1 first textbooks and the second part 5 chapters consists in part 2 means second textbook. Okay, so we'll go one by one here. First chapter is Introduction to Accounting. Of course, accountancy subject is new for you people. For the first time, you are learning, you are going to study the chapter or subject called accountancy. So for that reason, it is compulsory to study what is an accountancy or what is an accounting, what are the terms used in accounting, what are the roles of accounting, objectives accounting, what is the process of accounting that I told you. Just recording is called, just writing the things in the proper books of account called accounting. Actually, accounting is not just writing the things in the books of account, it considers or it covers many activities, correct? So which are the process covered in accounting with the meaning definition and followed by roles of accounting, objectives accounting, and also accounting, how it is the source of information, right? So at the end of the year we are going to calculate the amount of profit, as well as I said you in judging the financial position of the business, Normally, every business organization they do many activities. They take many risks, facing very much challenges, different kind of problems they face only because of those two things. One is to earn maximum profit, and second one is be there in good financial positions. Right. So to calculate those things, to judge those things, how that accounting is taken as one of the valued information. So all those things are covered in first lesson called Introduction to Accounting. So I repeat, Introduction to Accounting that covers basic things of accounting from the meaning and definition of accounting till the basic terms, various terms. For example, like in SSLC, you had that science related subject. For example, mathematics or physics or chemistry or social studies or maybe some other languages. Correct. So each subjects they consist some terms, for example related to chemistry, some chemicals or reactions or the acids. So these are the different terms used in particular subject. The same way accountancy also has many terms that you people don't know now, right? So what are the terms used in accountancy? So all those things can be discussed in first chapter of Introduction to Accounting. Accountancy is the method of solving the problems, right? You are going to solve the accounting problems. That is why your subject is called accountancy. But the overall process, the whole step or process of that accountants or accounting work is called accounting only. So that is why it is Introduction to Accounting. Once you learn basic things of accounting, and second one is called also one more theory lesson, and one more thing you need to remember, the first lesson consists of only theories, right? There is no problems, there is no sums, there is no illustrations in first lessons, only few basic things of accountings. And second lesson also one more lesson we have called theory only, that is theory base of accounting. So I told you there are many books of accounts are prepared in accounting books, right? Every business organization, it is not like writing or recording or everything in one books of account. Then it is very difficult because there are many transactions and they are varieties actually, and need to be writing in the books of account separately, right? So we have to maintain, we have to keep here various books of account to write something, yes or no. So that is why to maintain the different books of account, how the rules and regulations are followed, of course, right? If there is no accountancy and just writing on the books of account, that anybody can do, right? And what is the purpose of doing that commerce, taking the graduations, isn't it? So that is why we have to writing everything in the books of account. If it is considered for the calculation of profit as well as judging the financial position of the business, of course it is recorded properly, yes or no, right? So in order to record all those things in proper manner, we have to follow some rules and regulations, right? In mathematics, to get the solution, right, to get the answer, how you follow formula, yes or no? Particular problem, that each problem should be connected to specified formula, right? If you apply one another formula for some problem, then you don't get the solutions, right? Same way, even in accountancy also, there are some rules and regulations, there are some concepts, there are some principles, right, which need to be followed while writing those things in the books of account. Now, however, there is no fear, there is no doubt, so don't be in confusion. So everything will be discussed in the coming class. No worry. Okay. So by like basic things of theory only, we can go for the problems or illustrations, solving of illustrations. So this chapter consists of some theory base of accounting. They called concepts of accounting, principles of accounting, or conventions of accounting. Right. So for every case, for every situation, there are some concepts, there are some principles based on those recording the transaction. That is nothing but what is the thing going to be right, or how it is to be right? So all those things can be here known by exploring or learning the second chapter called theory base of accounting, right? The overall or maybe the wide explanations we can do in the particular chapter only. No worry now. Next, number 3 is the third chapter is recording of transaction. Actually, third chapter onwards, like we are going to learn here how to write the transaction or how to write the things in the books of account or books of a sheet of books, right? So recording of transaction that says you for the first time how the transactions are recorded in the books of account. For example, there are many books of account. Once you finish the first book, then immediately the same will be transferred to second and second will be transferred to third, right? So different steps are there and in each steps different books are maintained, different documents are maintained, and out of many documents it means at the end of the year or at the end of the day when you are going to calculate the profit on that day you will be having many books, right? Many books and varieties of books, right? And one book is followed by another book, like that, right? So in basic level or for the first time, which are the books you are going to prepare, then how can we record it, the transaction in those books of record? This all those things can be discussed in chapter number 3 called recording of transaction. Say for example, how to pass the entries, right? How to read the transactions and what is the rule of accountancy. What is called debit, what is called credit, right? You might be knowing that basic things about you may be heard that debit and credit, right? So all those things, right? About debit, about credit, what is coming, what is going, right? Who is the receiver, who is the debtor, or who is the giver, right? What is called expenses, what is called income. So all those things can be easily learned in your third chapter, recording of transaction. It also says here basic books of account, right? There are many steps I told you. In many steps, initially, first two, 3 books how we prepare. So these things will be discussed in chapter number 3. And fourth lesson you can see here, observe here, it is continuation part of your third lesson. That is recording of transaction 2. Right? This is number 1, this is number 2. And means in this lesson, after maintaining those first 2, 3 books, and which are the next books we are prepared, right? So continuation of that first lesson, means recording of transaction first is called recording of transaction second only. In this lesson, the fourth lesson of part 1 says here what are the next books of account, what are the in accounting steps in the next level of accounting, how many books are prepared and how the things are recorded, right? How can we end that books of account, close that books of account, right? So all the things will be discussed in recording of transaction 2, and followed by, the next lesson is called here bank reconciliation statement, right? So you all know that, students, one of the interesting, that curious lesson is called here bank reconciliation statement, chapter number 5. So we all have bank accounts. I don't know whether you have accounts in banks or not. However, your parents, if you don't have, of course, your parents will have accounts in banks, right? Many accounts are there: savings bank account, current bank account. Maybe if you go ATM center, that different kinds of accounts are showing there, correct? Display on the screen. So there are many kinds of accounts. Say for example, savings bank account or current account or maybe RD account, FD account. These are the many accounts. And as per the rule of business, every business industries they must be own one account in the bank called current account. Okay, current account. And current account is not only given for the business and also for the common people also. There are few conditions. If you fulfill those conditions, then current account will be given. You can open current account in banks, right? So every business usually they have current account in the banks, proper bank, in their bank. right? And usually that account is used to write the bank transactions of the business transaction which is done over through or which is through which is done through bank, right? So remember here, every business normally they have current account in their bank. And what are the transactions? Money transfer usually they do through current account only, right? So what are the transactions will be recorded in the books of account, company's books of account? The same will be recorded in the passbook of your current account also. Like regularly, if you go back and you will check the passbook, correct? So checking the passbook of businessman that consists of current account transactions with the cash book or maybe the books of account which maintained in the business about that banking transactions. So comparing, observing, matching all those things called here bank reconciliation statement is nothing but connecting company's books of account about banking transactions with the bank books of account called passbook, right? So that is called bank reconciliation statement, means maintaining your current account, right? So about banking transactions, banker of course record that in the passbook. The same if it is related to business, you have to record in your books of account also because that will be considered for the calculation of profit, right? Matching those and something comparisons between passbook as well as the things which you record in your books of account is nothing but bank reconciliation statement. And next lesson is trial balance and rectification of errors. I told you at the end of the day, profit or loss will be calculated by every businessman. If it is small business or maybe large business, right? And in order to calculate the profit or loss at the end of the year, the proper books of account we have to maintain it, right? Proper books of account is nothing but here stepwise or process of accounting wise you have to keep the various books of account, right? If you maintain various books of account like in steps wise or order wise, then only at last you can calculate the amount of profit, right? So if you are near to the calculation of profit or loss, so before only you have to tally something, right? Whatever you received and whatever you have given, it may be the amount or asset or properties or any kind of transactions, it should be tally. You have to be tally here before calculating the profit and loss, right? So if you don't get tally that, if you have not matched the amount of money you received, amount of money you paid, then you may not be, get good amount of profit or accurate amount of profit in the last stage. So for that reason, one of the main process here for least in the accounting process called preparation of trial balance and rectification of errors. And also there are many mistakes we might be done in various recordings. Right? While recording that we all are human beings and because of negligence, even sometimes intentionally also there are chance of committing mistakes. So these all those things can be done or can be known, can be checked in the process of trial balance. So normally to check the accuracy of all the books of account, the chapter explained called trial balance as well as the rectification is correction of errors. Correction of errors. This is about sixth lesson. And seventh one is depreciation, provisions and reserves. That is actually separate lesson. So normally every business organization they have n number of assets, different kind of assets. In assets, one of the major type is called fixed assets. Right? Normally land, building, or maybe the machineries or big equipments, etc. They all are called fixed asset that will be fixed for many years and be used for like many operations, day by day operations. Right? Even if you use regularly also it don't comes to an end, it will not comes to an end. So those are called fixed assets and study of those fixed assets, how for how many years we can be run that, and at the end of which period it can be, the life of that assets can be get over. So all those things, study of all those things, because mainly the life of the asset is only depend on the manpower as well as the assets of the business, right? So we have to judge the assets of the organizations regularly, study on the assets of the life of the asset of the business called depreciation, provisions and reserves. Anyhow, the deep study will be there in the particular lesson. Next is the bills of exchange. The last lesson of part 1 is called bills of exchange. Right? So nowadays we know that many transactions will be done through credit. Right? So there are two type of transaction. Monetary transaction can be done on two bases. One is cash basis. Immediately you pay amount, or immediately if you receive the amount after the transaction called cash. It's a payment of cash or receipt of cash immediately after taking or giving something called cash. And if it is not taken or received immediately after giving or taking something, then called credit. Yes or no? Right? And normally, after the credit transaction, that we need some promise, we need some assurance, we need some guarantee for the payment or receipt of money. Yes or no? Right? If we are payable, then next party, the second party, we need some assurance from us. Or if we are receivable, if we are going to receive, if we have not received immediately, if we given something on credit basis, then we need guarantee or assurance from second party. Yes or no? Right? With connection to that, giving some assurance or promise or guarantee in the form of written document, in the form of something, right, written form, right, in the form of letter, that is called bills of exchange. Normally n number of that letter or the guarantee or promises will made in every business organization. Every day there are many exchange bills of exchanges will be done. So about study about those things called bills of exchange, right? So by discussing eighth lesson, the first part of your accountancy will be over. Means first part means first textbook of accountancy will be over, and the second part consists about the final stage of calculating profit as well as losses of the business concern. So ninth lesson. However, it is the second part or second textbook, but the chapters will be continued from first part only. So, chapter number 9 says final accounts, right? So, this is very important actually, right? Chapter number 9, final accounts 1, and chapter number 10 is final accounts 2, right? So I told you at the end of the day, calculating profit as well as losses, and also judging the financial positions of the business, right? So from first day till last day, how many transactions we done, we furnished, calculating all those things and counting, comparing. It is always burden. It is, I cannot say burden, it is impossible to calculate the accurate amount of profit, right? So for that reasons, however or whichever or whatever the documents we have prepared for the business, if all those things taken into one sheet of paper, summarizing that, analyzing that, right, and making short list of all those things, and if it is converted into one or two sheets of paper, and converting into one or two sheet of paper, and the final sheet of paper is nothing but final accounts actually, right? So this is not a books of accounts, it is a sheet of paper like in the statement we prepared. So that is called final accounts or final accounts part 1, final accounts part 2, right? For example, if somebody asked, if you are the businessman, if somebody asks you what is the profit, I want proof for getting this amount of profit. You can show that sheet of paper that consists everything. How many transactions been done in that 12 months, like during that period, that analyzing, summarizing, making short list, all those things will be recorded in the two sheets of paper. It is called final accounts 1, final accounts 2. Normally, that conversion or passing into final accounts is called some process. So the basic things involved in chapter number 9, and the continuation part, the end part, last part consisting in chapter number 10 called Find Accounts 2. So these two are very important. We do everything only for chapter number 9 as well as 10 only. Okay, this is 10. And next, chapter number 11 is a separate concept, that is accounts from incomplete records. Accounts from incomplete records means normally some of the organization they prepare accounting activities. Accounting means maintaining documents, record, calculating everything. So they do everything in accounting in proper manner by following the rules and regulations for every activity, following rules and regulations and maintaining everything in proper manner called accounting work. And normally it is maintained by some of the organization or maximum organizations, maximum companies. But there are other organizations, they cannot be followed all the rules and regulations while preparing or maintaining accounting work, right? It because of many reasons. They may not be knowing exactly what is accounting, or they may not be having good time or proper time to prepare all those things, or they may not be having good person to record all those things, right? Due to many reasons, or it is because of something else. If nobody is there to ask about your profit, accurate profit, and you may not be followed. Such time you cannot be followed what proper books of accounts, but still at the end of the year you have to calculate, you must know the amount of profit or loss earned or suffered by the company, yes or no? So that what overlook whatever you want actually to calculate the amount of profit, only those things if you record it, not everything. According to accounting, everything you need to record, even 1 rupee transaction should be recorded. But because of many reasons, what I said you the reasons, because of that, if you record only whatever the things you required, whatever the things you require to calculate the amount of profit, only those things if you recorded, and if it is taken those only for the calculation of profit, and those things are called accounts from incomplete records. Normally, sole proprietorship business or small tiny business organization, they do follow this accounts called accounts from incomplete record. This is called chapter number 11, right? And normally I repeat here, from chapter number 3 to chapter number 11, we have to discuss some problems, illustrations. Normally what you say, sums or problems or practicals are some questions and solving those questions, some problems, solving those, is called from chapter number 3 to chapter number 11. Again, two more theory lessons. Chapter number 12 is called computers in accounting. Right, nowadays manual accounting, not there. Right, manual accounting means writing everything in proper books of account by the person directly. If we use computers for recording all those things of business activities, then what computers use? Normally 99.99% every organization, they store everything related to accounting work in the computers only. That says here computers in accounting chapter, correct? So for example, how the computer is working or play role in accounting, what are the benefits, what are the demerits, how the what is the difference between manual accounting as well as the computers accounting, right? How it can be recorded, how it is prepared. So everything will be discussed in computers and accounting. And next, last lesson is also about computers only, applications of computers. Nowadays there are many applications, there are many softwares has been here developed actually for the purpose of doing or performing accounting work only. So latest, which are the accounting softwares or applications are developed, how it can be used in accounting work. So all those things, like briefly, we will discuss in chapter number 13 called applications of computers. So students, these are called different chapters you are going to study in first QC accountancy. So I repeat, there are two parts, 13 lessons. First part consists 8 lessons and second part consists of 5 chapters. Okay, this is the overview of your syllabus content. So by this, I am going to conclude today's session, and in the next class we will discuss I'm going to begin, first lesson of accountancy that I have written already. About that I have told you, that is introduction to accounting. So we meet you in the next class by taking first lesson of accountancy called introduction to accounting.